We talk about just a description of the facts. I think any type of research you are doing, any type of gap, any design, any approach, you need to make sure that you describe the phenomenon that you want to understand properly. And that's basically the discussion of today. We don't get into the explanation, which is the why. We don't get to the prescription, which is the how. We will get into them in the coming lectures. Now it's only about describing the fact. So let's first talk about a distinction which I introduced a couple of lectures back when we talked about the research question, but now we need to get it back here. So if, remember the distinction that I gave you between the empirical question and the research question, and also that was also the practical question. Leave it there. What I wanted there was that if you start from the practical question or empirical question, try to actually move yourself to the research question. Once you have it, I want you in the design of the description, come back from the research question to the empirical questions. Because this is the way that you can find the answer of how to design your descriptions. If you go to a doctor, doctors don't ask you the final answer. They never ask you, do you think that you have Alzheimer's? Well, I'm not the doctor, I'm coming to you that you find the answer. So they ask empirical questions that once you answer them, once the doctor knows their answers, then the doctor, by combining those inputs, doing some kind of analysis, can find the answer to the final question. Do you have Alzheimer's is your research question. But then the empirical questions, can you remember this list of 10 words and memorize it for me? When was the last time that you forgot where you lost your phone? These are the empirical questions that the doctor asks me in order to see if I have any kind of Alzheimer or dementia. The same you need to think about your research question and the empirical questions. I mean, like a detective, the detective doesn't go to someone and say, tell me if you are the criminal person. The detective finds evidence and facts from all sorts of places. And then by assembling them together, infers the answer to the final question, which is who is the guilty person. The same we do for our research questions. So never ever ask your research question in your empirical work directly, because of many reasons. Research question is a theoretical question, is a conceptual question, is an abstract question. The language of the research question is theoretical, is abstract. The language of the empirical question is the language of the subject. If you talk to the managers, you need to talk to their language. If you send a questionnaire to the particular participant, you should draft the researches, the questions in a way that they understand. There are many other reasons that you should not directly ask your research question from the field. Is the field people that you interview, or you ask questions, or you observe them, or any other thing? Rather, you need to ask this, or you do this work. Say, what are the list of questions, empirical questions? Then if I know their answers empirically, by combining, synthesizing them, I can find the answer to my research question. And that's the big step in your design. This is, for instance, a question. Why do established firms with extensive knowledge of inter-organizational collaborations fail to use or reapply that knowledge that they get from the past to a new collaboration? It's a research question. It smells theory. It explores some kind of relations or explanations, and it's abstract. But then if you want to translate it into the empirical questions, these are the examples of the empirical questions we need to ask. You go to a particular organization, your monkey or jungle, then you find your monkey, which is one particular collaboration, inter-organization collaboration. You go to the people who are informed about that or have been involved in that particular collaboration. And then you ask them, tell us about the history of your work before. Tell us about the history of your organization. Talk about the previous inter-organizational collaborations that they have, different projects. What did you learn before? What happened there? And then you start actually exploring if or not they brought any experience from the past year.